Alright, people, what it is, you know who it be. It's your boy, your favorite cousin.
Yo, 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 it's your girl Pixie.
It's the Sturdy Pot.
And we are the Bare Naked Truth Podcast. And we are here with a special guest today. Let's see what she done. She got the book out called Toxic. It's everywhere. It's on Target, Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, all that good stuff. And she got a degree in biology, so we're going to talk about that a little bit too. But y'all make some noise for Gigi, a.k.a. G. Garcia. Yay!
Hello.
Yay!
What's going on?
Alright. And we are here and we're going to talk about her book and we're going to get toxic today. You know what I'm saying? Now, before we get started though, we want to let y'all know what we got coming up. Next weekend? June 18th, 19th, and 20th. Pixie, gonna get on the rundown.
Yo, so we got the Peace Weekend. It's vendor spaces available. It's gonna be right here, located at 614 East Peace Pembroke Avenue, Hampton, Virginia. Sponsored by Powered by Virginia. Bring the kids. They got bounce houses. They're gonna have food. They're gonna give away free haircuts with the barbershop that's next door. It's a community event. You guys come out, support, meet some new people, mix and mingle, do your thing.
And they're giving out art supplies too, and a bounce house for the kids.
A lot of stuff going for the kids, so make sure. Got a lot of sponsors involved in this too, so make sure you all come on out and bring the kids for a good time.
Yep, and we'll be sharing that flyer also on our page, so
yeah,
you can see all that.
And it's Lyle's birthday weekend, so y'all know y'all got to go up for your boy.
Yeah, you're going to be 173.
Ooh.
He'll look a day older than 99 though. Oh man, so that's what's up, man. So let's go ahead and get into it, man. So we got Miss Gigi here with us. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. Couldn't complain about anything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's good.
That's what's up. She was late. We was here on time, but she was late, just so y'all know.
Yeah, you know, it's an Aquarius thing, you know what I'm saying?
It's alright, we all here now. We're going to get it started.
I got you. All right, so let's start before we start over with the first question. Who is Gigi? Who is G. Garcia? Tell us about yourself.
Who is Gigi?
Mm-hmm.
I'm an author. I'm in the medical field. I'm a ODU alumni.
Educated.
Yeah, and a mother of four. So I'm busy. I work. I'm still trying to do my book and put more books out. So I'm all over the place.
Okay. So you got 4 kids.
Yes, 4 kids.
What's the age ranges?
So my oldest is 9. And then my next one is 6, going on 7.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a 5-year-old, and my 3-year-old is gonna be 4 at the end of this month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There's a steal.
Some small ones.
Yeah, babies.
That's what's up.
Enjoys of motherhood.
My baby graduate, y'all, Tuesday, so
Oh, congrats.
Congratulations.
I'm going to be an emotional wreck because I would be crying. But, you know, they tears of joy and
Yeah,
pain
of
for
course.
everything.
Shout
you
out
know,
to
I dealt
all
with.
the graduates this 2021, college, high school. Shout out to the parents who pushed through and made sure these babies got some accomplishments under their belt. I know it was a task. I'm waiting. I got 2 more years.
Okay.
So I can jump across the flow and act a pure fool.
Oh, I'm definitely going to be doing that.
But pooted. But
That might put me
yeah.
out.
Of course,
I'm
you
gonna be
got to. You
showing
got
out.
to.
I'm showing out. I'm showing out. They gonna already know who mama that is. Okay.
What's the message? We need y'all to hold y'all applause to the end. Shit.
Right.
Okay.
I'm
Just
gonna be
wait.
that mom.
Make all the noise. Make all the noise.
Right. I'm gonna be that mom.
Oh man, but that's what's up. So let's ask you this: what inspired you to write Toxic?
What inspired me to write Toxic is the fact that so many people nowadays, whether it's people I know too close to me, whether it's me myself personally, most people have gone through some toxic stuff, like toxic relationships, toxic friendships, toxic everything. You know, we've experienced something toxic before. So basically, what inspired me is like just hearing stories from friends, you know, and just putting it all together. Basically, I want people to learn from the book and you're like, oh yeah, don't be like that girl, you know.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Now, is any of it based on any relationships you may have had before that were toxic?
It's actually all based on a lot of different scenarios, and I just put it in one story.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, what would you think? would be a toxic? Just give us a little piece about the book, like one of the toxic things that happen. Ain't got to be all the details, but just like
a little bit, a little snippet.
Yeah, just a
Just a
little
little
piece.
insert of your book.
Just the cheating and going back. Like, keep going back. Like, cheating, going back, forgive, going back, and it happens again. That's pretty toxic. That is pretty toxic.
Right, that is toxic. So, in your book, with that particular toxic subject, do you give advice on how to remove yourself from these toxic situations, or you just kind of put a storyline together of different scenarios of toxic so people can be very knowledgeable about what's toxic and what's not?
It's actually a storyline.
Okay.
So basically, I put out a story about this girl named Raina, and she's in this relationship. It starts out great, perfect, and then the toxicity comes. But basically, it's not really like advice of trying to get into it, but something happens in the book, which I'm not gonna say because y'all need to go cop that.
No spoiler alerts here.
Yeah,
you guys
I
gotta get the
can
book.
tell you what happens. You gotta read it. But basically something happens to her, something drastic, and it's life changing. And basically, it's like if you keep being in a toxic situation, it's just gonna get worse and not better. So that's basically kind of like the message I'm trying to put out. Get out of it before it's too late.
Yeah, because we all know we've had someone in our family, sister, a brother, because men go through toxic relationships with women as well. We can't just be gender biased on these topics.
That is true. That is true.
But we all know someone who has or is in a toxic relationship and needs to get out ASAP. So in your book, do you describe the rawest of the raw? Or do you just kind of keep it mellow?
PG.
You know, is it very detailed?
It's detailed.
Okay.
It's definitely detailed. Like the scenarios that are in the book, it explains everything, like the craziness, because when you're going through a toxic situation, it gets crazy, and all that's in that book.
Right.
It gets crazy, all the good, all the bad, you know. So it's all in there. I promise.
So you give your viewers a bit of suspense, a bit of somewhat.
It is.
The tea, you give the tea, you give all of
Yes, yes. The prologue of the book is what really wheels you into the book. That's gonna want you to read more and be like, oh no, I gotta read the rest of this. So
what put you in a mind frame to say, I want to write this book?
I've actually wanted to write a book for years. I want to say probably over 10 years. I've been really busy. I haven't been able to have any kind of time to just sit down and write a book. And then me working in the medical field, when I came along this job, it's like I have my own office, and then here you go, like I'm waiting for my patients because I draw blood. So I'm not going to draw everybody's blood. So while I'm just like twiddling my thumbs, I'm like, let me put this to use. So that's when I started writing. I was like, look, now I got the time, you know, because usually I'm good for working like 2 jobs and I go from one job to other, but I had time, like a lot of downtime at my job. So I was like, hey, I wanted to write a book. Let me go ahead and start. So.
Okay, that's what's up. So have you ever been in a toxic relationship?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course, of
Let's
course.
talk. Now, were you the toxic one though?
You gotta be
Were you
lucky
toxic
if you
one?
have it.
I mean, you
Hey,
could
took my
say
question.
I'm a bit toxic just because I stayed in the toxicity. So if
Did
you
you
stay,
create
like,
it?
I feel like when I was younger, you might say I could have created it, but then again, it's like you're young and dumb, and you just like you act off emotion, you know. So it's like you're hurting, and then you're just wilding out, you know.
They bust
So
windows out your cars. Watch out,
I
fellas.
didn't do all that.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
wasn't
Pulling
that
up,
crazy.
you know.
No, I was pulling up. Oh, I was pulling up.
I don't care if you is at
So
work.
yeah,
You gonna
the
get fired
pulling
today.
up
Like,
is
oh.
always
No, I didn't
strong.
do the work stuff. Like I wasn't that bad, you
I've done
know.
that before.
Oh man.
Yeah, I wasn't
Yes.
that bad where I went to jobs. Nah,
Yeah,
no,
okay,
that's
Okay.
there's lines that I just don't cross.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when you were in the toxic relationship, you ain't gotta give no names.
Okay.
Unless you
Okay.
want to. You know. I'm just saying. You know, I mean, you ain't, look, you ain't,
Trying to get the tea.
you know, you ain't gotta put their name out unless you want to. You
Right,
know?
right.
But what was like a situation you may have faced and how you got over it?
I ended it.
You ended it?
I ended it. That's how I got over it.
Ended it how?
I was in this relationship. I was in this relationship for 10 years. It was bad. It was a lot of cheating involved, a lot of back and forth, breakup to make up, a lot of controlling, a lot of it was both parties really. We were really young. I started dating him when I was in high school, you know, and to early adult life, and it was bad to a point where it was like fighting was involved.
You had to fight
So it
family
became
members.
domestic.
I had to what?
You had to fight family members, or y'all was fighting
each other. Yeah, it became
Oh,
domestic.
man.
It became domestic.
Okay.
Nah, the family loved me. You know, they loved me. You know, so
Jerry Springer much?
Okay.
Oh man, hey, look, you know, I'm just trying to get the details.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. That's what's up.
You know what I mean?
Ask all the questions you need.
You ever stabbed him?
Me?
Mhm.
No.
High grits.
Nah.
Mm.
Nah.
High
Well-
no stabbing, no
grits.
shooting.
High
No, I
grits.
got hands. You
So
know.
it didn't get to that point. So we're
No,
going
it
to celebrate to the fact that
Yes.
it didn't get to that
Yes,
point.
yes.
Okay.
Facts.
That's
And it
so
shouldn't get to that point. That's the thing. That's
Right.
the whole
Yeah, that's
moral
true.
of the story.
The
It should
book
not.
is influential description of how these things can be difficult in your life and to get out.
Right. Right. Yeah. How it's difficult to get out, especially like if you're like in love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like you think it's like
That
real
word
love.
That word
Yes, it's a terrible
It's a
thing. I
terrible-
will
It
say
is.
that. But
love.
it's
It is
like
not with the right one.
it's
It's
yeah, exactly.
Everybody has their
Exactly.
breaking point.
Everybody-
it's just when they
exactly.
decide it's gonna one day, you just decide, leave this
Right.
leave this mess alone.
But everybody has their breaking point, but also people also have a tolerance at the same time.
right.
Like mine was going on for 10 years. That was 10
That's a
years.
Mine
long
was 14.
time.
So
That's
you
a
ain't
long
think about
time.
poison
Yeah.
at least once.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then after that, I had a 8-year toxic relationship. Not too long after that. So it's just toxic.
No, see,
toxic,
now,
yeah,
why you
toxic,
keeping
toxic.
tracks on all this
okay,
toxicity?
given that
Hold
you
on.
said that, because sometimes we as women or
Mhm.
men or people in general just can't understand how a person got out of one toxic relationship and
Okay.
got into
Another.
So what was it that
The
that
second
landed
time.
you in that situation for a second time?
I had children with him.
I was
Okay.
about to say that, kids.
And
It's
see,
kids.
sometimes
It's kids.
those are the few pieces that we have to the puzzle that some people
Right.
just don't understand.
Right. right.
Some things stem from their own childhoods, being without both parents. They struggle with their children growing up without both parents in the environment. It's something that you want for your children, but
Right.
you don't understand sometimes
Right.
that
Right.
the cost
Right.
is much.
Yeah, because everybody's toxicity is rooted from somewhere. It's not all the same. So I get that. But with the second time around, it's because of the children. And I was hoping for change. And even in the book, like the character, Raina, the main character, she was hoping for change.
Mhm.
She thought everything was going to change. Like, just keep being a good girl, keep being, that down ass, excuse my language.
It's all right.
But yeah, so you hope for change, and you hope the person that you love, because you love them so much, you hope that they change, so you stay in it,
Mhm.
and a lot of people are like that. They're hoping that their person's going to change, whether it's a female or male, because I know plenty of males that are in toxic relationships or
Right.
were previously in toxic relationships.
You know what?
And-
I'm glad you said that. Finish
Yeah.
your statement, though. 'Cause I got a question on that.
But no, that's pretty much
Okay.
it. Like, it's not just females, it's males as well,
Okay.
So
And
your book appeals to. I'm sorry. So your book
Mhm.
appeals to both male.
It's more like it's based on Raina. So Raina's the main character. It's based on her story, but it's like I was still getting like ideas from other people,
Okay.
and just putting it all together.
Cool.
So females and males, but like I've had a few close male friends to me that have been in toxic relationships as well, and I'm like, you need to read my book.
So
You know,
that's part.
So
That's
me
the
and you
second
can
book
read this
that's
book
coming.
too.
right.
When
That's
she
what I
dropped
wanted to get out
Toxic
there.
2,
Yeah. Toxic
it's
too.
gonna be
I don't know
about a
about
man
toxic
in a
too.
toxic relationship. You know,
The only
Just saying.
reason why there's no toxic too, because a lot of people did ask me that. Like,
Mhm.
oh, you're gonna come out with a second part, and no, I'm not gonna come out with a second part just because it's like you don't want to stay in a toxic relationship. That's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is to get out of it
Right.
before anything's too late, before anything happens, anything bad happens. So there's not a part 2, but there are other books that I have already written that are like similar. So it's
Okay.
not
That's
really a
what's
part
up.
2, but it's
And that was
similar.
another question I had was, can we expect more books from you in the future? So
Yes.
you definitely can.
Definitely can. My next book I'm trying to put out is a children's book, actually.
Okay.
So I do have children, and it's based on allergies, which a lot of children have allergies, and it's actually the way I'm doing my children's books right now. I've already written 2. I'm trying to write a couple more. I'm trying to, like, basically with my kids, I'm basing it off my children.
Okay.
So with each child, like, I'm trying to do like a story based on them, and they're actually the main character. You know, they're
That's
narrating.
cool.
So my son's allergic to a lot of things, so he's gonna talk about that, in the book.
Mhm.
And then just all my other children, it's just something that they like to do, or something, just something. So I haven't figured out the last 2, the 2 babies, but like I finished the first.
They
2
should
with
be a
them.
team. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a kind of tag team.
Right.
Type
Right.
deal.
Right. Right.
I'm
Well, I
allergic
noticed
to Mike.
You've got an admirer, someone by the name of Christy Westbrook. Says, hello, beautiful.
Oh, yes.
I love you.
Yeah, that's one of my friends. Yeah.
Christy,
Hey, Christy,
what up?
what's going on?
Shout out to Christy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to have
Yeah.
people who support you.
Yeah, she does. She's a great person. She really is. So I'm happy that she's watching, staying tuned, and yeah.
So what would you say to anyone who's writing a book or who is aspiring to be an author? What was your struggle, and how did you push through working, being a mom?
It's, to be honest with you, everyone thinks writing a book is like easy peasy, and it's really not. Oh God, it's not. Writing the book itself is easy.
Mm-hmm.
That book took me but a couple months to write, but sometimes I was uninspired, so I like took a break. I could have really finished it way before than I did. But it's the challenge of editing, really. It's editing, and it's money. It takes money to make a book. So like, and not only that, with the whole process, like you have to contact a few publishers. Sometimes you'll send your book, they're not going to accept it.
Right.
But luckily, I chose 3 that I looked into locally, which is somewhere in Virginia Beach. And right now I'm with Newman Springs Publishing, which is based out off New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I chose them instead of local, which would kind of be convenient, is because they did pretty much everything. I'm a busy person. I'm a busy mother. I work, and it was just a lot of work. Like itself, just writing the book and finding time to do it. With the one that was based out Virginia Beach here, it was just, they wanted me to pretty much do everything. Self-edit. They wanted me to just do everything. My own promotions, my own website, and I don't have the time for that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the time. So I went with Newman Springs Publishing, because they did everything. They did everything. They edited it. They would send me the copies. I would read it. And if I found something that I didn't like, I would send it back with my corrections. It's just a lot of work. And like I said, it takes money to make your book as well. Mm-hmm. So that was the whole process. And I'm not going to lie to you, in between time, because I think I signed my contract back in 2019, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
I signed my contract then, and then it didn't get published till the beginning of this year, 2021, January. I want to say January 25th when it was published. And it took so long, which it shouldn't have taken that long. The only reason why it took that long is I got broke in between. I was struggling. I was going through a divorce, so it was like, it was money. Mm-hmm. So I had to put it on pause for a little bit, and that's how it went.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Oh, you about to say something? Besides cheating and controlling, what's other signs of being in a toxic relationship?
Cheating and control.
Besides the two normal ones people think of, what's other signs? This for everybody.
Telling somebody they want to hear and not following through with it. That's toxic.
Like saying I'm gonna cook and I don't.
No, not
Like the
necessarily.
honeydew
Oh
list.
God,
Look,
come on.
I told you I'm gonna clean the
Really,
garage
though?
out.
Really?
Don't worry me now.
Really though? No, it's just like people saying, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna change. We're gonna work on this, and I'm not gonna do this anymore. I'm not gonna, we're gonna work as a team," and it just doesn't follow through.
So broken promises.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because what is that saying they always say? An apology without change is just words.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Something
Yes.
like that.
Yeah, something
Yes.
to the effect of
Right.
that. You can tell a person 1,000 times, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that anymore, I'm not going to hurt you anymore.
Right.
But when you find yourself in a pattern of consistency and breaking that commitment, that's toxic.
Yeah, that's toxic. That is toxic.
Definitely. And
Arguing
what else?
is toxic. Like, everybody argues. Everybody
sometimes you
argues.
need that good argument though.
You might need a good argument, but if it's constant and it's consistent.
Yeah, I mean, because I would
That's-
say, in my opinion, most people in a very committed relationship argue.
We argue.
Yeah,
It's
And it
that's
don't even gotta
definitely
be
it's
nothing
normal.
serious.
I really
It
do
is
believe
normal.
it is
It's normal.
normal to argue in a relationship. I don't think people really understand that no relationship is perfect.
In no relationship.
But when you
Definitely.
see certain patterns of a person in a negative light, then you have to reevaluate.
Right, you have to reevaluate, especially if it's reoccurring, if it's over the same stuff over and over again. Even if it's not, it doesn't get so bad, but it's a repeated pattern, that's still toxic. Because both parties are still not satisfied.
Right.
And then you deal with it, and then next thing you know, both of you explode, and it might possibly get bad. So,
I got another question.
Yeah.
So like we had said this earlier, when somebody stays in a toxic relationship, how long is it that they're no longer the victim and now they just, I don't want to say stupid or dumb, I don't want to say it like that, but like at first we're understanding you're going through problems, when does it come to a time where, look, you're not the victim now because you just staying there? That's what I'm saying.
Self-inflicted.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I guess. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
It's really when everything changes. I think when everything changes, when for the better. I know, like some people stay in relationships and it gets so toxic, but sometimes it actually gets better. Like people actually change. People really do change. Which is a good thing. But it's
How
not
long do you
always
wait
like
for that?
It's your tolerance, really. You really shouldn't wait, honestly. If you're unhappy and unsatisfied, like really, and it's bad between you, not really bad, but necessarily, but I want to say, like, if you guys are just always constantly arguing, it gotta be done.
You
It
need
just has
big
to be.
arguments, right?
Big arguments,
Okay,
yeah.
not the
Yeah.
small ones. 'Cause
No, the small ones, like cleaning the dishes and stuff, that's, you can work with that, but,
stepping out on the,
right.
the floor mat in the shower when it's wet on the outside one. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Argue with my
it's
son
funny
about
you brought that
before.
up because I was reading on Facebook the other day. Somebody put, "What's your pet peeve about things around the house?" It's two things that really stuck out to me, but one of them was like hilariously funny, and I just been chuckling on it ever since. So I don't know if you guys seen it. I want to share it with you, but somebody said, which is my pet peeve, the curtain being pulled back on the shower, like to see the tub.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Yo.
that's your pet peeve?
That's like one of my pet.
So you want to
close
close
it.
it? You want to close it?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I buy
Okay.
very nice decorative shower curtains, and I would
Okay.
like for them
You-
to be seen.
You switching up every
Yeah, I do.
month or something.
I
don't
do.
you?
I switch
Okay.
them up
Okay.
often.
I just don't want to see the bar of soap when I go in the bathroom. That's all. Just close
But
it.
somebody else said, and this might make y'all, I'm silly, y'all. So this really made me laugh. Somebody said butt crumbs on the toilet.
Oh my gosh! Stop playing! Stop.
Somebody said
Oh
butt
my gosh!
crumbs
Oh my gosh!
on the toilet. And I was just like, breadcrumbs.
That's not a pet
Like,
peeve. That's just
oh
nasty.
But when I thought about it, like I have been places and
all
I've seen
crusty.
what appeared to be a little dust of melanated skin.
I know when I see it at work, I be wondering, like, so you just really sat on the work toilet raw home pots.
And that's probably how butt
put no
crumbs
Right.
came about. Yeah.
Didn't even put the 1, 2, 3 on, you know?
Right,
like,
yeah, you
you
get a
know,
little quick little, beforehand. But yeah, that was
That's
hilarious to me. So,
Mm-mm.
and it's little stuff like that would cause.
That's not little. That's nasty.
That's
That's
a
Yeah,
big
what I'm
issue.
saying though, I mean something so when I say it's little, I mean the person who's using the bathroom could have easily just wiped behind them.
That is true.
That's very simple. That's a simple
Right,
task.
right,
It'd be
right,
some of
right.
the simplest things that could create a toxic environment.
I'm
Because
gonna go
now
in
we
the bathroom
arguing
and toilet ain't
about
flushed.
Yeah, I ain't even got to use the bathroom
Hey,
no more.
everybody
I
has
need to
their
know why you
preference.
left your hand
And
pots
some-
on the
yeah,
seat.
but
Look, and
why
some
you leave
people-
your skin
look.
behind? Yeah.
No, some people don't know how to aim either. Apparently,
Yes.
some people don't know how to
Yeah.
aim.
So,
So
and-
that's
and these be little things that
Women
people
can't
argue
aim
about
either.
in
Don't get
relationships.
it
I got
That is
hold on, hold on.
fact.
Matter of
You know
fact,
why?
hold on. I
You
got
know why?
you,
Because
Tio.
we
Hey,
hover.
I
That's
cleaned
why.
the
got
bank.
you, Tio.
I cleaned the bank downtown, and women can't aim either.
Well, that's
I got
because
you,
we got a
Tio.
squat method.
I got a question.
We
for
don't.
this.
Most women don't do public.
Yeah,
Right,
we
so
don't. I
restroom.
don't. I'd rather use. No, I'd rather hold it.
I'm just
than,
saying,
no, I
I've seen
can't.
it. So.
Okay, so check this out, ladies. I got one for you. Since we're talking about stuff left on the seat. How come when the man used the bathroom, he got to flip the seat down? But when y'all come out and finish, y'all don't flip the seat up for us? Like, where's the courtesy at?
I feel like that's a ratio thing in the household.
Yeah.
What
I
you
feel like
mean?
if
I
it's
think so,
more,
too.
if it's more men in the house, then we can adjust to that. If it's
You hear
more
that, baby?
women in the
It's
house,
2 of us and 1 of you, so leave the seat up.
Oh wow!
not
Hold
put
on, wait
me
a
in that.
second. Hold on, wait
do
a
not put
second.
me in that.
Wait a second.
I'm
I
just
didn't
telling
say
you what I
nothing.
heard.
I didn't say
I'm just telling you what I heard.
That
You
was
know what I'm
not
saying?
me. I said the ratio.
Hey, run back the footage. It's 2
Ratio.
men, 1
Run
woman.
back the
That's the
footage.
Run back the
Oh
footage.
no!
That's the ratio.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing
2 to
that
1.
today.
You know what?
Well, then you
2 to
don't
1.
get a part of the ratio because it's equal.
What?
You want somebody to do something for you as a courtesy. I feel like what I was trying to explain was if I live in a house
Mm-hmm.
with my husband and we had all boys,
Mm-hmm.
I would understand maybe to
You
flip the
wouldn't.
toilet up.
You
Maybe okay.
Maybe
wouldn't.
I might consider it, to lessen the effects of what I might have to clean.
Mm-hmm.
Vice
You still
versa.
coming there, cuz I know you ain't leave the seat up again.
No, now we're gonna have an argument if I fall in.
So
See,
how
hold on.
how does
do
that
you-
happen?
I don't get that. How
Because
do
when you in a
fall
rush and you
in?
busy like I be,
Don't pay
you
attention
don't
to
pay
certain
attention
things.
to it. It's kind of like
So
the
y'all
shoes
going there in
that
the
are in
dark.
the floor that you walk past a million
So y'all
times.
just go in
And
the
you'll still
bathroom.
trip over it.
Yeah, don't even
Yeah.
look.
Yeah.
Just
And
drop.
you just, because we gotta go. We
They
gotta
just
go.
drop it for the 99 and 2000. It's
Somebody in the comments said, how about you just sit down on the toilet like ladies do?
Excuse me?
What? Who said? Whoa.
It is nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, when I got to do a number 2.
Yeah, but
I
but
peed
you can
in, that's
still
cool.
right, and I mean, well,
But if you sit down to do that, I mean,
exactly.
That's different.
it's not like you don't know how to.
Yeah.
That's different though. Ain't no
Men, y'all
self-respecting man go in there and
You
sit
said
down
self-respecting.
on the
I'm
toilet
weak.
just to pee and then stand up.
But you do it
Nah.
for number 2.
And sometimes
Yeah,
you do
because
number
that's
1, number
different.
2 at the same time.
How is it different? You're
Because when
still-
you're doing number 2 and number 2 don't actually shoot out, they kind of just drop. So you don't want to drop. See, all right, let your man drop poop on the floor and see what happens. Let him drop
Oh,
poop on the
stop.
floor and see what happens. See how that conversation go. And it stink.
Well, you gonna be the one to clean it up.
Nope.
Yeah, that's how that works.
Mm-mm.
Or
If-
it's really
if-
going to be a toxic environment. And
It
it
will
ain't
be.
going to be that
Toxic.
turd that you
Real
smell
toxic.
that's toxic.
If men
That's
What's
were
gonna
supposed
smell
to,
toxic?
Oh
if men
yeah.
were supposed to sit down and piss, it would be no such thing as urinals.
Thank you.
Yeah, true.
No,
but
no,
that's
that's facts.
but that's in a public area. We're talking about the house.
So
Yeah,
so
we're talking about the house because at the end of the day, you got a men's bathroom and then you got a woman's bathroom. So
All right,
why
so let's
would
keep
you
it real.
why would you put the seat down? Like
Let's keep
I
it
mean,
real.
look,
If you
I'm
walked
pretty
in
sure
and
the
saw
seat
your
down
man
anyway.
sitting down just to take a pee,
just a tinkle.
yeah,
No, once
You'll
you
be
sit
like,
down, it
"Oh,
becomes
bruh."
a tinkle.
Is that what we're
When-
calling
If
it?
a dude
y'all
sit
will
down,
walk in
he
and be like,
tinkling.
"Bruh, really? Really? That's what you doing now?"
But see, look, my question is, how are you? Look,
I don't even know how we got
I feel like females.
We were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
I brought it
Oh,
up
yeah.
because I was trying to give a scenario of things that could cause big arguments. Because I wanted people to still be realistic about there are things that you argue about in a relationship, and it be small stuff.
It is
like that, but
tinkling.
Tinkling. You definitely
You
right.
know,
So it do got something to do with it a little bit,
just a little bit.
So, yeah.
But back to subject. Do y'all excuse me? Do y'all think the word toxic nowadays gets thrown around too much?
I think it actually does. To be honest with you,
it does.
You know, it's kind of like a trend right now. You know, toxic.
It is.
It's a trend. So, like, I use it. I throw it around, especially when I was trying to promote the podcast right here. I was like, yeah, we about to get toxic,
No, but that's what we're talking about.
Right,
exactly.
exactly.
People can use the word
and I'm gonna
toxic.
bring up some more toxic issues.
Okay, let's
And
go.
we can
I'm ready
into
to
it,
it.
you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
All right, so let's start it off here. Married but living in separate places. Is this a good idea or a bad idea?
Could that lead to a toxic environment?
Yes, it
or
will lead to a toxic
relationship?
environment. 'Cause
I definitely think it would.
I believe, and this is just me, if you are married to someone and y'all live in separate spaces, and not even depending on how crazy the other person is, but now you can't even really be comfortable at night because now you in there and you lay in the bed like, they better not have nobody over there. So now you up trying to roll through at 3 a.m. just to do a little pull up real quick, thinking you go catch something. Like that, it leads to a whole bunch of extra stress, which can be toxic.
Yeah.
And then if you do pull up and see something, then it's like, well, look, you ain't want to mess with me today. You know what I'm saying? So what y'all think?
I think it could lead to toxicity. Definitely could lead to toxicity because
I don't know how you want to do it though.
Exactly. Why would you want to do it? Is the question number
that's what
one.
people are saying now.
I understand some people get into situations like, okay, for example, let's say you're just like on something sporadic and it's like, yeah, let's get married. So y'all go to the courthouse, y'all get married, and then but the females still got their own place and the males still got their own place. Contract not even done till like a couple months, So, I could see that, I guess. But other than that, why else would you have separate living spaces? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Now for
because the goal is
to
be a family, right? So how are you gonna be a family if you're living in separate households?
I don't know. So who get the kids?
Exactly.
Is it switching up weekends?
That's a toxic
Exactly.
conversation,
See,
period.
it
Like
is.
that right
It
there
is.
is going to really lead to some domestic
Okay.
issues.
And now
Definitely
a second
domestic.
follow-up.
Definitely okay.
Y'all live in these separate spaces. Who's supposed to cover the bills for all of this?
Well, obviously,
Who's supposed to cover the bills?
obviously,
Now you got 2 rents,
Look.
mortgages, 2 light bills, 2 cable bills, 2
But
all
I'm
this
saying,
extra.
obviously, if you live in separately, they're gonna have to pay for their
It's
own.
Dutch.
I feel like, it's
It's
Dutch.
Dutch.
It's definitely
Okay.
Dutch.
And I think that's the problem with y'all men because I saw this coming.
Oh, that face.
I saw this coming. And y'all were gallivanting, as my grandma used to say, around this topic prior to today. And y'all wanted to see, because I don't remember anybody saying that we as women expected y'all to pay where we live at. That was a theory that was brought up by one of y'all, thinking that just because you're the man and you're the husband, we're still going to expect you
Sit back just a little bit.
to cover our end of the deal.
When you saying y'all, are you saying me and him?
Yes, because I saw y'all comment.
No.
Hold on, wait,
I
okay.
saw
You
y'all
know what?
comment.
You know what?
Me and him.
Well,
I
since
saw
we
y'all
going there,
comment.
you know
And
what?
see,
Since we
that's
going
how
there,
stuff get toxic.
since we going there, I did not want to go here, but I'm going there.
Go there.
Now,
This topic is toxic.
whoever's watching or whoever would be listening in the future, yes, I watch a lot of Kevin Samuels videos on YouTube,
Y'all.
and
Yes,
women
he does.
are expecting men to do stuff like that to pay all the bills and everything, and they just chill.
But who gave you the thought that we as women expected you to do that? Who had that conversation?
You see the posts all the time. If you're a real man, you're supposed to pay the bills in the house and this and this and that.
And when we live
So I'm like, so if
together,
you got
but
2
whose
of them,
idea
Oh
is it
my
to
God.
live separately?
I don't know.
So I feel like if we're gonna use that as a scenario, then whoever decided, I think we should live separately, should have an understanding about finances when it comes to being in a household, husband and wife.
That's gonna be toxic right there. Cause now, if you was a real man, you would be able to pay my bills and the bills here too.
Because it kind of sounds like, I hate your guts. I don't want to sleep here in the house with you, but I still love you, and we're gonna be tied together.
I love you enough for you to pay my mortgage.
Hold on, wait a second. Were you saying you said females think that? You said that, right? Well, let's backtrack.
Yeah,
on
let's
that.
roll.
Hold on.
Yes,
You know what?
ma'am.
I just thought about this. Hold on, wait a second. Let's go.
I'm ready.
Hold on.
What
Let's
did you
get
really
into
say?
it. You said y'all females, right?
Y'all.
'Cause you see- okay.
Y-A-L-L.
Okay.
With the apostrophe.
Okay.
Apostrophe.
He's spelling.
All caps.
I get that. Okay. A lot of females do have expectations, and they're like, "Oh, you need to pay the bills because you're man." But guess what? There are females out there that are the man of the household, and they're the ones that are doing all that. And there are males that are sitting back doing absolutely
Yes,
nothing.
you all think y'all do everything?
Facts. I was in a situation like that. What you mean? Like,
Who is
I know
this y'all?
this. I know this.
Y'all, I've been working all my life. I had to fight.
Y'all back.
All my life I had to fight. Okay.
Well, I mean,
Let's see.
realistically, you have to accept that there are some very strong, educated women, and they got the bag.
Right.
Yes,
They have the bag.
And there's nothing
I
wrong
even
with that.
expressed that in
But hold
the
on.
comment section one
If she
time.
has the bag though, and she is the man of the house, is she treating her man like he a little business?
It depends. It depends on. I mean, I'm not saying it's right, but I'm gonna say it depends on the circumstance. Because if you're a man who's comfortable with lounging around while the lady of the house goes out and work and provides, then I mean, how much respect do you expect a person to have for you if you embody that level of laziness?
It's not, because now that's even worse. You sitting in the house playing PS, was it the 5 now?
Five.
With your homies. She done caught you joint. Hey, bruh, you ain't took my trash out. Where my lunch at? Damn. And your homie looking like, what you gonna do?
But
Hey,
I
bruh,
feel like
shut
that's
up.
a
She pay the
secondhand
bills.
trade for the life of a lazy man.
There's two different types of that, though.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with
Okay.
you. If you
Like-
subject yourself to that level of manhood, and that's all you can do is sit around with the homies and play the PS5,
You're a bum.
then the least you can do
No, he's a bum.
exactly
Wipe the
So
piss
you
off the toilet
receive-
seat.
bum loving.
Hey, that's the one with the butt crumbs on the seat.
I know you ain't touched my thermostat. I know you ain't touched my thermostat, bro.
So I mean, I would just say that just kind of depends on the type of man. Now, I mean, there's a difference between just being down on your luck and
Definitely,
and being in a phase of transition where you're trying to move to something different. You're aspiring to break out into something great. But we know there are some people out there who just take advantage of their partners and just allow them to foot the bill on a lot of things that they know that they could bring some level of support.
Exactly.
So if you settle for that, I mean, what else are you asking for?
You're toxic.
Oh, no, I'm just saying.
If
I'm
you
just
settle for
saying.
that, you're
Let's
toxic.
call
Okay.
it what it is.
All right, well, let's go here
man.
And that is toxic.
It is very
It is toxic to be in a relationship with somebody who does not want to be a partner. Wants to be a
definitely
dependent.
True.
It is very
Yes,
toxic.
That is
So
very toxic.
these are all related situations. I'm pretty sure somebody out there on one of these live feeds and these comments have experienced or know someone who is paired with someone who is toxic like that.
Because you're supposed to work as a team.
Exactly.
True.
Well,
That's-
when I was married, I took care of all the bills, and she just stayed home, cooked, cleaned, and took care of the kids. So that to me, that was even. I didn't care.
Okay, thank
Right.
you for that
Okay.
point, because being a stay-at-home mom is not an easy job.
Right.
Definitely not.
Have
Cleaning
you ever
up
been left
behind
alone with your
everybody in the
kids
house.
when they was
Yeah.
younger, bro?
Yeah. But I was saying, I took care of everything. You know, I had a good job. She ain't have to go nowhere.
And that was very noble of you as a man to be the provider and accepting the exchange of I take care of the financial end and you take care of
I ain't gonna lie.
The
When she
house.
came to me saying she wanted to go to work, I said, for what?
No.
For real. I was like, for
He
what?
was like, man, you know daycare's like $600 a week now, Sean.
Yeah.
You sure?
Nah,
yeah,
yeah,
some
yeah,
people are
yeah,
working
yeah.
just to
Yes.
pay daycare. One
Yes.
check probably
Daycare.
goes towards daycare. That's why I'm done having children. I'm
Yeah.
done.
Man, my
Hell, I
baby's
got
16.
four.
I'm out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Ain't no more.
And can you imagine the
I'll
stress
hold
that it would
Jersey
make a
up.
person feel to have to live in that life, having to be the dominant person against your will? I talked about that one time before on one of our live episodes, how men put women in positions to make them manly by having
With
to
the
do
mustache
manly
and
things,
stuff,
and
yeah.
we end up with mustaches, and y'all don't like the dominance that comes out of it, but you won't change the circumstances to relieve us of some of those tasks.
I remember you said that.
And
Twice,
these
actually.
are all, in my opinion, that's just, I feel like all of it has a circle of, repetitiveness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be stressed out. I'm going to cuss you out. I'm going to be feeling some kind of way if I got to come home to you being this every day.
Mm-hmm. She gonna want to fight you then, bro.
And it's vice versa. Because there's some men out there that have done what this gentleman said he did, but did not get the other end of the bargain. Came home to a nasty house every day. Didn't come home to a home-cooked meal.
Yes.
Children not being taken care of. Bills falling behind because you're not organizing the household.
At the end of the day, it still didn't work.
So it's still a team effort.
I get it, because I was actually in that situation. I come home to a dirty house, and he expected me to work 2 jobs, come home, still cook, still clean, still take care of the kids right when I get off work, and then he chill.
And
I had
drop
the
it
kids
like
all
it's hot
day.
at
Like,
midnight.
it's your turn. What?
I myself was like that. I worked with children and then had to come home to my own children. So the level of stress, that's why I say, again, shout out to all the administrators and all the teachers and staffs of these children who have graduated, because it takes a lot to work with children.
It does.
Of
Especially
all
their
ages.
parents. Especially their
Exactly.
parents.
You've got all these
Parents is
demographics,
crazy.
all these cultural
It does.
beliefs. You've got all of these different mindsets and opinions,
Yes.
and you've got to maintain yours, and then go home and save a little bit of that for your own kids.
Yes, it's very hard. I was a 6th grade science teacher. I know exactly how that is. I had to deal with children all day and then come home to mine with craziness. So it's definitely a lot of work. That's probably why I'm not a teacher now. Look,
I gave up that
that's probably
set.
why.
I gave up that too.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely feel you on that. Okay, so let's do this here. Let's rate the toxic levels here. So we got Derrick Jaxson.
Oh gosh, here we go with Derrick.
Woman
Jaxson.
can do no wrong.
Ladies, get in these comments. He's getting ready to act up.
Woman can do no wrong. Fellas, you always wrong. We got my granddaddy, K. Samuels. Ladies, you always wrong. Fellas can't do no wrong. Which one do you think is more toxic for women? The one that says you can't get right, or the ones who say you always right?
Both.
Or is it a mixture?
It is both.
Because
Definitely.
And do y'all really want to hear it though when y'all wrong? Do y'all really want somebody to tell y'all that?
The old me did not.
Okay.
The young, immature me, spoiled brat me did not want to hear it. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Okay.
The mature, analyzed woman that I grew into does.
Okay. What about you, Miss Gigi?
That's a bit hard for me. I guess that's toxic, but
Just a little bit.
I do like for somebody to point out my wrongs, but I'm very opinionated, and with a lot of people, I deal with a lot of people all the time. Being in the medical field, being like just dealing with children previously, dealing with just different kinds of age groups, like with the medical field, being a teacher, I used to be a sales associate, dealing with just so many different people. Everybody's different. So at the end of the day, like, with everybody being different, everybody also has a different mind frame. So everybody's thought process is not going to be the same. So yes, I do have a problem with like, oh yeah, you're wrong. But how am I wrong if my thought process is going this way, is going right, and yours is going left? Like, it's going 2 different directions. So at the end of the day, like, we're not thinking the same. So what you might think is right, to me, is not necessarily, I'm not saying that it's wrong, but it's like, I don't do it that way. So that's...
Okay. And so does it matter, let's say the person who's telling you that you're wrong or right, as opposed to it actually being wrong or right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, let's say...
Hold on, Mike.
What's up?
That's like a non-parent telling you how to raise your child.
Yes. I was
just
just
Exactly.
I get that.
Exactly.
I
That's
get that.
perfect.
That is
right
like
there.
somebody telling you,
Yeah.
giving you advice on a subject of matter that they've never experienced
Mhm.
or have no clue of, pass or fail on it.
Right.
Never
right.
been married and be like, hey, you should do this. Like, have you been married before?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
And some
I get
people,
that. I get
you know,
that.
some people like speaking. Since we're talking about toxic,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in relationships, family members imposing in your relationship could bring a level of toxic to your mindset on how you run your relationship, how you maintain your relationship. You know, we got those old school people who they lived in a different generation and lived in a different time.
Mm-hmm.
So they did things their way. They say millennials and Gen X or whatever the new terms are, they do things totally in a rebellious state of mind. So they always try to impose on, well, you should do it this way, you should do it that way, having a lot of influence. And you coming back to your partner trying to change them, that causes a toxic situation.
yeah. Prime example.
I agree with that actually, because it does, like, family members do have a part, you know, with the whole toxicity, because I was in that situation, and the whole big thing with my family and like my partner at the time's family, it's the whole interracial thing. You know, it's like two different cultures clashing.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge, and it's always a challenge because, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, most of my relationships are interracial. You know, so it's like, you know, just two different cultures. Sometimes it's not as bad, but like the 8-year one, that was pretty bad. You know, our parents didn't like us being together, both sides, his and mine, and then it was a challenge. It was really a challenge, and it gets frustrating, and with the frustration comes the toxicity, because we're just not dealing with just us. We're dealing with what our parents got to say in our ear. So, and then even though, like, you know, we were like together and we loved each other and all that, it's just all the pressure from both sides, and it's just the frustration makes you want to explode, you know, which could become toxic. So,
Okay.
because you're just going off on anything now, you know, because you already got so much on your plate, so every little thing is just pissing you off, and then you just explode.
Speaking about kids, let's say you got kids, he got kids, and y'all come together, y'all love each other, but y'all kids cannot get along for nothing. Like, they would never get along, you know what I'm saying?
Trying to blend the family.
Right.
So,
Brady Bunch.
do y'all try to force the relationship, even though y'all kids are miserable? Or do y'all, like, let that go?
That's really tough, because I haven't personally been in that situation. But I would say you would try to work on it first before you just letting it completely go. Try to work on it. Try to sit the kids down, talk to them, you know, and go from there. And if it doesn't get any better, it's, even though you do love each other and you do want to be together, like, that's toxic. That's really toxic, especially if the kids
keep you pent against each other.
Exactly.
Like, well, my kids did this, mine did that. Now
right,
y'all
and then
fighting.
Now y'all fighting, and then not only that, if the kids are fighting, they can't get along for anything. That's not good, because you're supposed to be a family. You're all supposed to be a team. All of you guys, all of you. You're supposed to work together. Of course, people are gonna argue, but if it's like really bad, then it's just, I mean, yeah, it's time to let go. But like I said, communication is always the key for everything, I personally think. So I think, like, a sit down with them is sit down with just both the parents itself and just be like, how are we gonna do this? Even when it comes to, like, the opposite, like the people that are not really involved, like when it comes to the baby daddy or the baby mama. Like, I think that it's all a team, really, and they should all communicate, because they need certain sides of the story and other people to give their opinions and experiences, and it's all hands on deck, basically.
I can attest to that. My husband and I have a blended family. We struggled in the beginning. I kind of felt like the children could see the division,
right,
and they embarked on it. I feel like if you're anybody in that situation, because what turned that around for us was we had a long talk one day, and we just made sure that we had a thorough understanding of the expectation that we both had for the children, the expectation we had as a unit in front of them, and we put that together. Once the children figured out that they could not divide us, it kind of faded out. Okay. So parents, I encourage you to, because when you find the right person, you find a person that you really love, you really want to spend your life with. I mean, it's not selfish to say, and I'm going to say it, and you all can think whatever you want to think of me, but my children, I love my children, but my children will never determine who makes me happy. As long as there's not a situation where who is in my life is detrimental to my children in a bad way, you don't have a say-so on that. You have to remain in a child's place. I think sometimes there have been a lot of women who have missed out on a lot of good men raising sons because their son or their daughter did not like the person that they were dating, and it really wasn't anything that person did to the child. It was just that spoiled mentality of you're taking my parent.
Yeah, man, children are territorial.
They're very smart.
That is true. Yes.
They're very smart though. Children can see weakness. Children can see lack and inconsistencies. Children can see a lot of things that we don't even think they pay attention to.
Oh, yeah.
But the moment that my husband and I sat down and said, "All right, if somebody come and ask you." And we play this little game. It's a little petty because we do petty parenting sometimes. That's what I call it.
Hey, that's what it's all
petty
about.
Parenting.
That's what it's all about.
Somebody wants something, go ask your mom. Or go ask your dad. Once you get the answer from your dad, then come back to me. Or once you get the answer from your dad, me and your dad will talk about it. And it was, because at one point it would be, well, I thought she asked you. Well, I thought he asked you. Well, he said you said he could do it. But there was no communication between us. So it was a gap there, and the children could see that. But once we filled the gap, they realized, oh, this ain't gonna work.
Huddle up, y'all. This ain't
right. We gotta formulate a new plan. So I encourage parents to put on a strong, united front. For children, when you're blending your families, put your feet down. I think that's a problem with children. They don't respect the authority. Sometimes they don't want to because they're so spoiled. Because we all love our children and we want to make sure they have the best of everything. And sometimes those lines of communications get broken, which causes a toxic environment. Right. Children are one of the reasons people separate in relationships. Right. Money, finances, personal beliefs. Those are all heavy topics that could cause a lot of toxic. And that's exactly what I was about to say. And then your children get grown, and they move on, and they find happiness. And you can't tell them what to do because you're ruining my life.
Not only you know what I'm saying? Not only that, they get accommodated to a certain lifestyle. When you blend into a family, it's like the rules change because now it's not just mom's rules or it's just dad's rules. It's both new mom and new dad's rules, you know? So, and it's just the accommodation. I feel like they get used to a certain thing and then something changes and they just don't like it because they're just used to a certain pattern. So I think that's an issue, you know?
So we have Miss Leanna in the comments, and her question was, do either of you, thanks for chiming in, do either of you badmouth each other to the children? Children pick up on the vibes that the other parent may give off. I can honestly say to you, no. My children understand that I'm very transparent with my children, and I show them things and teach them things so that I don't send them out here in this world green. We never say anything bad about each other, to my knowledge. I don't think my husband has ever said anything out of frustration about me, and I've never said anything about him in frustration either. Children grow up and they learn their parents. Even if you have an absentee parent, never badmouth that parent to the child. Right. Children will grow up and see who really was in their corner, who really had their best interest in heart. You don't have to say a word.
You don't have to say anything.
If it's a duck, it's a duck. It's going to quack like a duck. You see what I'm saying? So you don't have to tell them, oh, it's a duck. They're going to grow up and see that.
They observe.
They observe. So really children are very smart.
Very observant, even when you don't
think
you
for
they
that
are.
question.
Shouts out to my best friend, Lee.
Oh, you got a lot of support out here. Shout out to the team, to the squad.
I want to chime in on that, too. I know in my case, I never badmouth the other parent. And the reason for it, man, is because what happens between two parents, let's say, like me and my daughter's mother, we didn't work out. You know what I'm saying? But I will never go back to my daughter and be like, oh, your mother is stupid. She get on my nerves. I hate her, this and that. Because at the end of the day, whatever our problem was is not
Their
the kid's problem.
Right.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So it shouldn't be because I'm upset with you that now I have our child hating you also when that's not the case.
Because that's toxic.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's
And
a
it
very toxic
creates
way to raise a child.
Yeah, because the kids will go back and be like, well, mommy, daddy said that,
Yeah,
you said
they will
and
tell
that,
on you
you know what I'm
quick.
saying?
They
And
will
now you
flip.
sitting there
Yes,
The innocence
they
of a
definitely
child.
do.
So-
You know.
They definitely do.
So you have
Yeah,
to
drop the
be
ball on
mindful.
that one.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
everybody
man.
is different. Everybody, does parenting different. I
mean,
just say
I
what
didn't
worked
say
for
it to the
us.
kids.
Once we realize.
Oh no, you
y'all
still
not
talk
getting
your
over-
jump, just not to the kids.
Yeah.
No, I didn't say it to them. They just
Right.
overheard me on the phone with her a couple of times, but I wasn't
Right.
talking to them. It's just my voice carries and they could hear
It's
it.
different. 'Cause,
But I
there's
also
been times I was
make
like,
sure
man,
I
could
force them
stand
to call
this.
her.
Yeah.
I have to force them.
Right.
Well, not really. I don't force them. I'll be like, hey, look, make sure you know, if they do it, they do it. They don't, they don't.
I make sure my kids don't hear our conversations because it could get ugly sometimes. But like, I don't want them to hear it. I'm trying to, I guess, protect them because at the end of the day, yeah, we might hate each other's guts or maybe we might get along, but still at the end of the day, I just don't want them to witness that because at the end of the day, like you said, like we really shouldn't badmouth each other. That's
Yeah.
very important because you're gonna make your children start thinking and they're like, maybe they're right, and then now they're all confused, because they hear one thing and then they hear another, and then it really messes them up in the head.
It does.
Really, it's a mental thing.
And we
you know?
fail to realize
So,
sometimes this is how toxic starts.
right, because
Yeah.
it could affect
In the
them in the long
household.
run. Yeah, it
In
could
the
affect them
household.
in the long run. For
Yeah,
real.
because there are some men
Yeah.
out here, we really will never understand it, but there are some men out here who grew up without a father
Right.
and will abandon their children when they become fathers. We never
Yeah.
understand why that is, but it's a toxic stem
Right.
that we have to acknowledge. Women
Right.
will go out here and be promiscuous and have multiple partners and raise daughters, and they see that and they will go up and have a promiscuous demeanor about them.
Because that's
it-
that modeling behavior.
And then you disperse out into your relationships, and now this is your way of thinking,
Right.
and this is his way of thinking, and you all have to figure out a way to mesh that together.
Right.
It could be a disaster
right.
and a toxic situation.
Right.
Definitely.
Because kids do a lot of modeling, a modeling behavior.
Absolutely.
And they see something, they do it. We all know that, but it's not just like with other kids, it's with adults as well. They see what we do because at the end of the day they look up to us.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh well, mommy did this or daddy did this, so I'm gonna do this too. Which is not, that's why you have to be very careful what you do around your kids, what you say around them,
And who you bring
because
around them.
you don't exactly who you bring around them, because at the end of the day you really don't, you might be in a really terrible situation, but at the end of the day we all don't want that for our kids.
Right.
So we don't want them to see that part. I definitely don't want them to see that part. I've been
Right.
through some stuff and I try to hide all of that. Like my kids have no clue about it. And it's for a reason because like I might be a little messed up in the head. I don't want them to be a
Right.
little messed up in the
Right.
head, So
Right. We
got a
don't
little
wanna-
screw loose,
We want to break the cycle.
Hey,
Right,
Break the cycle.
exactly, exactly.
So with that
Don't be
being
crazy
said,
like me,
okay?
we
Right.
got off to a late start, but we are rounding about full
Yeah.
circle with the show. So
I got one thing I
is-
want to talk about before we get out of here. Though.
yeah.
Okay, let's
Okay.
go.
But before we do, I want you guys to check her out. Before we end the show, I want you to tell our viewers and your fans because you're on a rise, and we're glad that you came out today with us. But
Thank you.
before
Thank
the
you
show
for having
closed,
me.
it was awesome. Tell us how we can how we can get your book, where to find you, your platforms. Tell us all of that stuff. But Mike has got one more topic that he wants to ask you before we close out.
Okay. Basically, you can find me on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Target, anywhere. Like if you Google me, just Google G.Garcia, Toxic. I pop right on up. Like there's so many places, even like out of the country, that have me on there. I was surprised when I Googled myself. I was like, Germany, China, what's going on?
Right.
So it's just Google me, G Garcia Toxic, and then hit enter, and then boom, I pop right on up. Yep.
Okay.
All right, so let's go here real quick. 'Cause this has been a hot topic also.
Okay.
Bonnets and pajamas in public.
Stop! Oh
Let's
my
go
god!
there. Oh,
no,
come
you
on.
didn't.
You know I had to.
No,
you know I had to.
Oh
Now.
my gosh.
Monique has spoke about it. My granddaddy has spoke about it, and some others have spoke about it. What do y'all ladies think? Because I got another piece I want to add to it too. But what do y'all think? Just off of that right there.
Let me say one thing. When I was younger, when I was young, and I really did not care. Mm-hmm. I would wear pajamas to school. I wear pajamas to Walmart.
Were they clean?
Yes. Okay. Yes, definitely, for sure. But at the end of the day, when I grew up, it's like, I thought about what my grandmother, every time she used to go to the doctor, and I'm pretty sure there's still, when I go to the doctor's office and there's like older people that go there, like they're dressed up. Mm-hmm. They're literally like the women are in a nice dress, and then the men have like a collar on and everything. And I'm just like, wow, you have to be presentable, because at the end of the day, yeah, you're talking to a professional. So when you're talking to a professional, it's not just even with a doctor. Like, you have to present yourself well wherever you go, because number one, you never know who you're going to run into. Mm-hmm. And you might be like on the rise. You might be like, an aspiring author or something, and you really trying to put yourself out there, and you go run into Walmart, you're wearing your pajamas, and then you over here, you're ear hustling, and then you hear people talking about, yeah, we're looking for somebody, or we're doing this, or we're doing that, we're trying to promote, we're trying to get, people with small business something, and you're a hot mess. Like, how are you going to approach them looking like that? Are they going to take you serious? Mm-hmm. Is the question. So, I mean, be presentable. I always think you should be presentable. I used to be that person, though. I'm not going to lie to you, where I was just lazy. I'm just like, man, I'm just going to throw this on. But you know what? Like, as I got older, I was just like, I cannot be doing this, because I never know who I'm going to see. Ever. Mm-hmm. So, and you could have lost out on a great opportunity. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, you might be in there, you might see something that look attractive to you. Now you done.
I need that too.
Because dude can't run up on you just dressed like anything. Like, bro, you really with the ashy ankles and the house slippers, you just gonna.
He said ashy
ankles. Now that is like something that I have, I struggle with. I'm not a person to wear a bonnet. I totally agree with what Monique said. I totally agree with what she said. I know you probably felt like I was gonna agree, and yes, I do agree. I feel like as Black and brown women, we already face enough obstacles out here with the perception of the image that the world wants us to have. Mm-hmm. We already got to walk light. We already got to walk on eggshells. The bonnet is the same thing to me as the equivalent to the pants sagging.
Okay. I can see that.
I feel like it is just a misrepresentation of who you are.
Destroys
People will see that bonnet. People will see, and you could be a brilliant person.
Yes.
You could be, because let's be honest, some of our most famous trap stars are educated.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll give you one. 2 Chainz. 2 Chainz is a very educated Black brother. Mm-hmm. Even though he rap about the trap, he is very educated. Mm-hmm. Jay-Z is very educated.
Right.
But like some people, Jay-Z is prime example. As he grew, his image grew, his mindset changed about who he was and what he wanted to represent.
Yes, definitely.
When you're branding yourself, I feel like there are just very minimal opportunities for hiccups. Those are the little things that keep us back, even though it is wrong, because that bonnet does not necessarily determine who we are as a person. The pants sagging does not determine who we are as a person, but it will get lost in the translation of you when someone of a higher position or a position of advancement, of success, sees that and decides, I don't even want to go through the hassle of trying to reconstruct this. Right. Even if it's not even a hard task.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I don't even have the time for it. I'm going to go with that person over there because that's already groomed.
I can already look at
It's definitely the perception. Yeah, I definitely agree with it. Because, like, I'm over here, look, I got a whole sleeve. I got tattoos. I got tattoos on my neck. But at the end of the day, if I'm going to an interview, I make sure they're all covered. Because at the end of the day, they could look at me and they're like, she got all them tattoos. I mean,
it's an easy perception.
It's a perception. It's everyone's perception. Like, you have to keep it professional. At certain times, and it's like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, sometimes, like, especially when my hair is braided, I'll have like, I'll wrap my head or whatever, but I make sure like if I'm going to my destination, I'm gonna take it right off, you know, just for perception, because even though we are in that generation where it's like everything is a little bit more lax nowadays, you still have the old schools, you know, so you still have people that actually do care and actually view the world differently. And like I said, like I said previously, everybody views everything differently. Everyone has a different thought process. So even though they could have been like grew up in the younger generation and they understand more, they're still like, but at the end of the day, you still gotta keep it professional.
Yeah, because I know a lot of professional women that wear bonnets.
Right. Yes, definitely.
You know, my thing is, if you wouldn't wear it to work, if you wouldn't wear it at an event that you would go to with prestigious people,
right,
then carry that same image of yourself
exactly
wherever you go.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with it. I wear a bonnet.
Definitely.
I mean, when you
Definitely.
have braids
Yeah, I
and
mean,
stuff,
when you in the
I
house,
and when I tell you, it is the biggest bonnet. I feel like the little mushroom lady off of Mario, the little princess, because that's how big it is at night. But you wouldn't dare catch me out anywhere,
right?
Because what taught me a lesson from that was I was big on just I gotta run to the store right quick,
right?
And that is the day, like you said, you always see people,
right?
The day you jacked up, the day you are put together, honey, slayed to the gods. That is the day you see nobody.
Nobody
gets to see that outfit. Nobody gets to see that makeup, them lashes. But the day you decide to run out in that bonnet,
exactly,
and them flannel pajama pants,
right?
You know, is the day that you see somebody, and then you be like, all the days I be dressed up, I ain't see nobody, but today I had to see this person. But I mean, it's a preference. You all gonna do whatever you want to do, regardless. Anyway,
right?
It's just I feel like they're out here making laws about protecting our crowns, us being able to wear our natural hair in professional atmospheres without being conducive to what it looks like to be a professional outside of our culture, and then you go outside looking a mess. I mean, I just feel like that's kind of backwards, but to each his own. I just teach my children to be at their best at all times.
Exactly. Okay, so let me ask y'all this: how did y'all feel about seeing the fellas wearing bonnets and some of their pictures saying they stand in solidarity with women?
I thought it was
for
funny.
the fact to be able to wear bonnets.
I just thought to myself, of all the things that y'all want to get behind us on, is a bonnet. But
actually, that ain't the first thing.
But
them skinny jeans, they still behind y'all on that too.
Well, we behind y'all on that.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I'm a.
No, I do not support skinny jeans.
Skinny jeans are not for everybody.
They're not for me.
And my question for that though was, do y'all care if men stand to solidarity about y'all wearing bonnets? Because I feel like, fellas, why are you doing that? You just doing it for clicks on the picture.
Some of it is a little bit of clout chasing, but I kind of look at it in a sense of that's just me, and I feel like saying I'm attracted to that type of woman regardless. So it doesn't really matter. I'll get up under that bonnet.
Yeah,
I tell you right now.
I'll get up under that bonnet.
Yes.
I don't care about the bonnet, you know.
Fellas, if you're not a pimp that wear the curls, or you got a Jerry curl, or you do the Shirley Temples, don't wear no bonnet, bro. Just stick to a do-rag.
I knew a guy who wore a bonnet. He had a beautiful head of hair.
See, that's different. Most of these dudes is bald-headed like me, though. You don't need to wear no bonnet.
Garcia, he had a beautiful head of hair, and he said that the pillowcases strip the minerals out of his
but
hair.
see, I'm bald-headed. What would I look like walking around with a bonnet on? Just because.
Like Fabio.
Yeah,
but
you know what I'm saying?
that's his preference. I can't knock him.
I'm just saying, though. You know, if you saw me one, you'd be like, bro, what are you protecting?
Yeah, so, is there anything that you would like us to know about you before we close out today?
I mean, I pretty much told you in the beginning. That's not too much about me, really. I'm a hard worker. Like, I'm a very busy lady. I try to do everything for my kids, and that's basically why and not only for my kids, I'm trying to, like, help the world. I know it sounds corny as I don't know why, but like through my experiences, what I've been through, because even with the allergy thing, like I was telling you about my book that I'm about to come out, the children's book, it's like parents go through that, and some of them just really don't know what to do, or they're just so frustrated. They're just like, okay, I got all these kids that are not allergic to something, and then we got this one, like, oh my gosh, you know, it does get frustrating. But you know, it does put you in a bubble, but it's like, I'm here to help. You know, I'm here to, through my experiences, you know, because I have been through a whole lot, like, learn from them, you know, and not only learn from them, maybe we can all help each other, you know?
Definitely.
So,
All right. So
Yeah.
before we close out, don't forget again, we're gonna run that Peace Weekend, June 18th, next weekend, 19th and the 20th. Each event starts between 3 and 4 o'clock, ends by no later than 8. Make sure you bring the kids out. Powered by Virginia, loud. They're all gonna be out here celebrating, going up. So you guys make sure you want to be a part of that in the building. Don't miss it.
Bounce houses, haircuts,
Yeah.
art supplies, all
Oh,
that
So,
good stuff.
we want to thank you for joining us today.
thank you for having me, you guys.
Being a
I
part
really
of the Bare Naked
appreciate
Truth
it.
podcast.
Yeah.
We got Toxic today, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you for the ladies in the comments. Appreciate
Hey, fellas,
you
y'all
guys.
dropped the ball.
Share the live.
Man, did they?
They dropped
Share
the
the
ball.
live, share the live, and you can catch us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, the Bare Naked Truth Podcast. Again, we're connected with Powered by Virginia. Catch us on Sundays at 1 p.m.
And my last thought is I don't care what nobody say, fellas, don't sit down and pee.
No.
That's all I got for y'all, man.
Hey, it's your
Yeah,
boy,
it's
Mr. Stir the
And
Pot.
your girl Pixie.
And your favorite cousin. And Gigi.
Gigi. You can call me Gigi.
Two capital
Yep.
G's.
Yeah,
Alright.
no eyes. No eyes.
No
Two
eyes.
G's.
Alright.
So guys, find her book. It might be interesting for you. You can relate. Tell us all about it in the comments on YouTube.
And if you can't read, get the audiobook coming soon, I think.
All right.
It's actually on audio.
Oh, okay. If
Yeah.
you can't read, get the audiobook.
That's
All right,
it for you
y'all.
guys.
Peace.